students, welcome to the online class for classes 9th and 10th. In this online class, I will share my ideas about the examination pattern for class 9th and 10th in the subject English language and literature. Now, students, you can see here I have elaborated the point. For class 9th and 10th, in our subject, CBSE has prescribed as two types of assessment. The first one is school-based internal assessment of 20 marks. These 20 marks are allotted in 4 different ways. A pen and paper test for 5 marks, multiple assessment test for 5 marks, portfolio 5 marks, subject enrichment test for 5 marks. So, school-based internal assessment is of 20 marks. Now the final or term end examination for classes 9th and 10th is of 80 marks. It is conducted at the end of the academic session. Now CBSE prescribes the question paper in English language and literature should have 3 sections. You can see here the first section, section A of 20 marks. It is known as reading section. Section B is of 30 marks. It is known as writing and grammar. Then section C is of 30 marks. It is known as literature reader or text. That's all about the CBSE examination pattern for classes 9th and 10th in the subject English language and literature. Now, in the final examination, there will be 2 questions in the writing section. Now, those 2 questions, number 1, in the first question there will be a choice. You can answer either a letter writing or article writing. It is of 8 marks and the word limit will be 100 to 120 words. Now the second question in writing section, we will develop a story based on the given verbal or visual input. You can see here the full mark of the second question is of 10 marks. Now students, learning any language requires practice of 4 skills. The skills are reading skill, writing skill, listening skill and speaking skill. You will be happy to know there is a saying, reading skill makes a full man. Writing skill helps a person to become a complete man. Listening makes a ready man. And students, keep in mind, speaking makes you successful in life. Now, in the next part of my online class, I will particularly help you how to write letter. When I talk of letter, CBSE has prescribed in class 9 and 10, there are 4 types of formal letter. Now, why we call it formal letter? A formal letter is written to any higher authority, maybe of government or private sector, for solving our problem. In the same way, we have also informal letter. An informal letter is that letter which we write to our friends, family members and relatives. Let's move to the next part. Well students, now you can please look at the board so that here we will get a detailed picture about the types of formal letter. Now, the first type is enquiry letter. Second type is complaint letter. Third is letter for placing order. And the last one is letter to editors of newspapers. Now, as I said, in the remaining part of my discussion, I will try to help you on the first type of formal letter, that is enquiry letter. In the meantime, I want to make one thing clear. When we say formal letter, there is also another name, that is official letter. Now students, you are at school. As students, you have also problems. Maybe for getting leave. Maybe you approach the principal for issuing books to the library, for arranging some match, some programs. For that you write an application. So what I want to say is that those applications also come under this title formal letter. I hope I am clear. Now let's see now this formal letter that CBSE has prescribed carries 8 marks. And what is the word limit? 100 to 120 words. Now let me show you a design, a layout of the formal letter. Now students, you can see I have mentioned some points beginning from 1 to 7. Please look at the picture. Now point 1, we usually write sender's address. Point 2, we write date but in full form. What I mean by that? For example, today is 3rd June 2020. Now students, you can see here between point 1 and 2 there is some space, right? So I would suggest when we write all these points, we will leave some space. The reason, we want to increase, we want to maintain uniformity, and secondly our presentation will look beautiful. Now point 3 we write receiver's address. Then point 4, that is salvation addressal part. Sorry, point 4 is subject line. Here we write the main point on which we are writing the letter. Next, point 5 is addressal part, what we call salvation. Dear sir, dear ma'am, respected sir, like it. Then point number 6, students, you can see we have left a bigger space here. This is called, point 6 is called the body of the letter. Now we have to divide this point 6, this body of the letter, preferably into 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, please keep in mind, in paragraph 1, we will definitely write the aim of writing the letter. Now moving to paragraph 2, students, please keep in mind, we have to explain the problem and the solution we expect from the concerned authority. Now coming to paragraph 3, now this is the concluding part of the body of the letter. Hence it is required that we should express our thankfulness to the concerned authority for helping us to solve our problems. Now students, you come to point number 7. Now this is the last part, so we call it complementary clause. Here you can see there are 3 lines here. In the first line we write thanking you. Next line, yours faithfully, yours sincerely, you can write. Then last, name of the person who writes the letter. So this is the complete layout. This is how we will make it clear in our mind. Now students, let us move to the other part of this board. Here we see how letter writing is evaluated by the examiner. What we call this? Marking scheme. Now let me remind you, the full mark of letter is 8 marks. Now these 8 marks are distributed under 3 heads. Number 1, that is format. Format carries 1 mark. Now let me help you. What exactly we include in format? Now students, here you see point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, point 4, point 5, point 7. The same thing I have mentioned here. If we write all these things, then we get the allotted mark 1, for per mark. Now the second criteria in evaluation is content. Content means subject matter. Now students, what exactly we expect? What the examiner expect in content? The examiner wants that as per the question, we should write the body of the letter and we should organize, we should develop our answer very systematically in a logical manner. What I mean by this logical manner? We must have an introduction, then we should explain, then we will properly conclude our answer. So if we present our content the way I said, for that CBSE has prescribed 4 marks. Now next, the last criteria is expression. Students, please pay attention. Expression is important because it includes certain things which are very, very important. Like the board expects that whatever sentences we will write in the letter, those sentences should be grammatically correct. Number 2, all our spellings must be correct. And last, we must use appropriate word as per the topic in the body of the letter. Now, let's move. Let us have a practice. So, students, I explained in detail about the layout of writing a formal letter. I also explained you about the marking scheme of CBSE for evaluating formal letter. Let us take an example. Now, here is, I have a question. You are Aman Anita Mohan of DAV Public School, Sambalpur. You came to know that CBSE has introduced many skill subjects for the benefit of students of classes 9th and 10th. Write a letter of inquiry to the principal of your school requesting him to start the same in your school. Write the letter in 100 to 120 words and mark is 8 marks. Now students, in the layout you saw, we have total 7 points. Here also you can see, I have also attempted, this is a practice work I have done for you. I have also presented the answer in 7 points. Now, if you remember point number 1, sender's address. Here, who is the sender? Aman Anita. They live in a particular place. So, Rengali, Sambalpur. Then, after some space, we write the date. For example, today, 3rd June 2020. Then, receiver address. The principal is mentioned, write to the principal of your school, the principal, DAV Public School, Sambalpur. Now, point 4, subject line. What is the main point of this letter? Requesting him, write a letter of inquiry to the principal of your school, requesting him to start the same in your school. So, what would be a suitable subject line for this question? Requesting for introduction. So, requesting for information on skill subjects in classes 9th and 10th. Now, thereafter, if you remember in the layout, we had a salutation. Here we find, dear sir, oblique ma'am. Now, for point 6, I had said, we find a larger space, a bigger space. The same thing we see here, from here to here. Now, we have to write the answer in 3 paragraphs. Now, students, the 3 paragraphs are clearly visible. Please mark here. First paragraph from here to here. There is a full stop here. Now, the second paragraph starts from here ends here, and the third paragraph here to here. Now, if you remember, in the first paragraph, I had suggested you we should write the aim of writing this given letter. Let's see. Let's look at the first paragraph. With due respect, I would like to draw your kind attention that CBSE has prescribed a number of vocational skill based subjects in classes 9th and 10th. Here comes the aim. I am writing this letter to know about the above facility in our school. Now students, I have made clear about our aim for writing this particular letter. We want information. Next, paragraph 2. If you remember, I had suggested in paragraph 2, we explain in detail about the problem, about the topic, as well as what solution we expect from the concerned authority. Let's see it. Paragraph 2. As per the CBSE guidelines, any student of 9th and 10th can select and study one vocational skill subject in addition to the 5 compulsory subjects. Students there are compulsory 5 subjects: English, Hindi, then mathematics, science, social science. So CBSE has introduced some extra vocational subjects. Now here, in addition to the 5 compulsory subjects, its benefit is in case a student does not pass in any major subjects. For example, what are the major subjects? Maybe mathematics, maybe science, maybe English, right? So, in case a student does not pass in any major subject but has passed in the skill subject, extra additional skill subject, then in the final result, that student will be declared passed. So, I request you to inquire about these CBSE guidelines and allow us to study any one skill subject from the academic session 2020-2021. Now students, I would like to share one thing here. In second paragraph, what we saw, in second paragraph, we have discussed 2 things. First, we have discussed the topic, its effect, benefits. Number 2, second part, we have also mentioned what type of favor, what type of solution we expect from the concerned higher authority. Now let us go to the third paragraph. In the third paragraph, what we expect, what we should write, we will express our gratitude, our thankfulness to the authority for helping us. Let's see it. I shall be grateful if you kindly look into the matter and take necessary steps for the benefit of the students of our school. Now, point 7. In point 7, earlier I had mentioned about complementary clause. There we find 3 lines. You also see 3 lines are here. First line we write thanking you. Second, yours faithfully. Last, the name of the person who writes the letter. Question, Aman / Anita Mohan. These 2 names are given, one boy and one girl, because it is expected that boys will write Aman, girls will write Anita. The same thing I have mentioned here. Aman / Anita Mohan. They belong to class 10th that I have mentioned. Now what is important, students? Now let us come to the last part of this online class. How much mark we will get, because that is important at the end of the day. Now let us apply the marking scheme to evaluate this written answer. Now the marking scheme says format. For format, the examiner wants the following information. We have mentioned sender's address, we have mentioned, we have written date in full, we have mentioned receiver's address, we have written also subject line, we have also written salutation, we have also written complimentary clothes. So there is no reason why should we lose any mark. So we are getting 1 mark. Now next, content, subject matter. If you remember, I had said 2 things. Our subject matter should have a beginning, then growth, then logical conclusion. The same thing we have mentioned here. We have a beginning meaning we have written while we are writing this letter. This line is the example I am writing. Then in the second part, we have explained. So, what the examiner needs for content or logical arrangement of the answer, it is there. Hence, there is 4 mark. Then the last point is expression. The examiner wants the sentences should be grammatically correct. Students should be very, very careful here. Use of tense, use of verb, use of singular, plural, spelling, all those things. And I hope there is no ground for which or where, if we write carefully, we will lose any mark. So this is how I am quite sure that if we go on doing practice, just it's an example, if we go on doing practice, definitely we will secure either 8 or 7.5, definitely. Now students, now this is just an introductory online class. I will keep on continuing. I will be in touch with you from time to time, and I am quite sure that if we work together, we will go ahead in our aim. Now, before I conclude, let me express my thankfulness to the school management for giving this opportunity to share with you, and I also hope that you should stay safe at home and follow the precautions and enjoy your time study also. Thank you. Have a nice day.